Tonight's CBS Evening News, I'm Nora O'Donnell. Good night.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
COVID vaccines in high demand. Tonight, new details on the mass vaccination clinic that will be coming to Metro Park.
I'm Mike Dennison in Helena. Governor Gianforte's tax cut plans are off and running at the legislature. Coming up, I'll have the details.
But first, Red Lodge Mountain, normally full of skiers, empty today. Those frigid Montana temperatures forcing the closure of not only Red Lodge, but Showdown as well. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this chilly Thursday night. I'm Russ Riesinger. We'll get right to the weather scene and Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh. And Ed, we could be falling into record low territory pretty soon.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, this morning we actually tied the record cold temperature here in Billings. Let's start off with a look with the Stockman Bank weather cam. 15 below is where we started the day. That tied the record back in 1936, and we didn't make it any warmer than 11 below all through the day, partly because of the clouds and that light snow. It was just enough light powdery snow that you had to go sweep things off and deal with that cold weather for a while. As far as the potential for more records, the Billings area, at least in the neighborhood, first thing tomorrow morning. Miles City, it looks like you could easily break a record. At another location that could be record cold first thing tomorrow, how about Great Falls? Maybe double digits colder than its old record. Lewistown, Cutbank, Shelby, also real close to setting records. Check out Lewistown. If it falls below 30 below tomorrow morning, it'll break a record that's been set back in 1905. Take a closer look at the forecast coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Ed. These cold temperatures making one tough job even more difficult. Miles City firefighters found themselves fighting a house fire in sub-zero temperatures on Ellis Street Wednesday. Heavy smoke was coming from that home when they arrived. They got it under control in under 30 minutes, but 2 occupants received minor burns and smoke inhalation. That fire caused $70,000 in damage and is still under investigation. Well, humans aren't the only ones who have to bundle up during this cold. It's also dangerous for our pets. Dr. Edie Best at Billings Animal Family Hospital recommends shorter hair pets wear their sweaters and they shouldn't be outside for long. Best says if you have outdoor cats or stray cats in the area, remember to tap on your car's hood before starting it up to make sure they're not hiding there from warmth. She said people can also make shelters for their outdoor cats with storage boxes and blankets. For dogs, it's important to watch for signs that your pup is cold, like when they hold up their paws and look at you.
I would limit to 15-20 minutes at the most at a time, and then if they want to go, in 2 or 3 walks a day at that temperature, that's fine. When it gets to the below, what it's going to be tonight, tomorrow night, probably just out to potty and back in, but if they're, especially booties, I think for dogs are important because their paws can get so cold. They can get the snowballs built up in between their pads, which is painful. Sometimes that hurts them when they're trying to bite them out or lick them out themselves.
And Beth says to make sure that while on walks, dogs are not stepping in road salt or licking it off their paws when they return indoors. Make sure to clean off their paws, she says. Well, as the state prepares to lift the mask mandate tomorrow, Montana counties reported 338 new COVID-19 cases today and 2 additional deaths. The 2 deaths out of Gallatin and Lake counties, bringing the state total to 1,338 now. Montana has seen more than 97,000 total cases since the pandemic began, but active cases have now fallen below 3,000. Yellowstone County's first centralized vaccine clinic will be held in Cedar Hall on the Metro Park Fairgrounds next week. This is for people in Phase 1B. The county's Unified Command announced the details. The clinic will be providing people with their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and then people will sign up to receive the second dose that will be administered at Metro Park before leaving the building.
Announced just out from the state that we do anticipate a slightly larger allocation of vaccines to the state next week. And over time, we expect that those allocations will increase. So what we fully expect is that we will grow the Cedar Hall site as large as it can accommodate, and then move to another centralized site, so we'll have multiple sites available. That's the commitment of the Unified Health Command, is to get that vaccine out as quickly as we can by working together to staff sites and get the vaccine administered.
Now, Felton says people will have the option to schedule appointments on Tuesday from 1 until 4:30 in the afternoon, or Wednesday and Thursday from 8 a.m. until 11:30, and then later in the day from 1 p.m. until 4:30. People will have to make an appointment in order to receive the vaccine. Also, people are being asked to arrive no more than 5 minutes prior to the scheduled time to prevent lines. The availability of appointments is subject to the number of vaccines that Yellowstone County receives, and a link to sign up to receive the initial vaccine will be posted at covid.riverstonehealth.org at 1 p.m. on Friday afternoon, or you can call 406-651-6596. Well, Republican Governor Greg Gianforte is proposing a series of bills to cut taxes and otherwise overhaul Montana's tax system. Now, the centerpieces of his plan, focusing on the state income tax, had their first hearings today before a legislative committee. MTN's Mike Dennison tells us what the proposals will do and what supporters and opponents had to say during the hearings.
The three income tax bills before the Senate Taxation Committee all have one goal in common, as told by Gianforte's budget director, Kurt Alme.
Governor Gianforte is sending a message to entrepreneurs and business leaders in Montana and across the country. We want you and your good-paying jobs.
The first bill would cut Montana's top personal income tax rate from 6.9% to 6.75%. Another would set up a special reserve fund to finance incremental reduction of that top rate, eventually down to 5%. And finally, a third bill says if a new company sets up shop in Montana and creates good jobs here over 5 years, any profits from sale of the company's stock by employees would be entirely exempt from income taxes. Here's the sponsor of that last bill.
Not only are we going to attract new talent, but I think we're going to attract a lot of our talent that's left this state and wants to come back.
Opponents of the bills, however, said they all have a fundamental flaw. Numerous studies have shown that cutting income taxes for the wealthy to encourage job development has never really worked.
These economists from one of the most prestigious economic schools in the world looked back over a span of 50 years of tax cuts for the rich to see if the, quote, common sense idea of tax cuts for the rich turbocharged the economy. All they found was that the rich get richer and the broader economy not improved.
They also said the bills will chop revenue from the state budget with no regard for whether the state may need that revenue to pay for vital services like education, infrastructure, or services for the vulnerable. Senator Greg Hertz of Polson, the sponsor of the first two bills, said he believes otherwise.
But what's the best thing we can do for those individuals in need? Provide them a better opportunity and a better paying job. And that's the basics behind this bill and other bills, what we're trying to do.
Hertz also plans to bring a bill to simplify state income taxes by getting rid of some tax credits. And on Friday, he'll present a bill that actually raises taxes on multi-state corporations to help pay for some of the cuts in other bills. With Republicans firmly in control of the legislature, it's a pretty good bet that Governor Gianforte's tax cut plans will be sailing through. The real question may be, what happens to other tax cuts being advanced by Republican lawmakers, of which there are many? In Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And Governor Gianforte was mentioned during today's impeachment proceedings on Capitol Hill. Lead impeachment manager, Representative Jamie Raskin, used the May 2017 incident where Gianforte assaulted a journalist as proof that former President Trump encouraged violent action. Raskin played a video of Trump at a campaign rally giving approval of Gianforte's actions.
But it wasn't just Trump's encouragement of violence that conditioned his supporters to participate in this insurrection on January 6th. It was also his explicit sanctioning of the violence after it took place.
You just body slammed me and broke my glasses.
But Greg is smart. And by the way, never wrestle him. You understand that? Never. Any guy that can do a body slam, he's my kind.
Well, the Gianforte incident was one of several used by impeachment managers to argue that the former president encouraged violence by his supporters. We'll have a full report on the impeachment proceedings coming up tonight on the MTN News at 10. Today it kicked off the Billings Clinic Kids Radiothon. Q2's Victoria Hill and Miller Robson have been active in helping to raise awareness about the importance of supporting families whose child is facing a life-altering illness or disease. The money raised over the two-day event goes directly to the Kelker Kids Funds. The Radiothon is up and running until 6 tonight, a few minutes left. Then again, it starts tomorrow at 6 a.m. and goes throughout the day. You can donate online at billingsclinic.com/foundation or simply by tuning in to one of the radio stations that you see there on your screen. And because of your generous giving throughout the day, that event has raised close to $22,000, all to help children going through a tough healthcare journey. Well, last summer, we brought you the story of Simpson, the gray wolf that was rescued by Zoo Montana after being abandoned by his pack at just 7 weeks old. Well, today, Simpson is in need of another type of rescue, potential life-saving surgery. Zoo Montana says that Simpson is suffering from congenital hydrocephalus. That's essentially too much fluid on the brain that can cause swelling when Simpson gets excited. Staff at Zoo Montana noticed a rapid deterioration in health when Simpson got into an altercation with other wolves at the zoo. A CT scan later showed the defect, which, if not treated properly, can prove fatal. Both doctors and zoo staff agree that surgery is the best option for the wolf.
Some of the comments that we're seeing, a lot of people are concerned, is this the best option? Is it easier to put him down? And I'm not going to lie, euthanasia was a large part of our conversation. Is this worth doing? And at the end of the day, he's a pretty normal wolf right now, with the exception that when he gets too excited, he goes downhill. There's a way to help that, and surgery is just that. And essentially, it puts a shunt in his brain that allows fluid to pass through, essentially draining the brain of that fluid into the rest of his body. This surgery is going to give him the opportunity to be somewhat normal for the rest of his life, and we hope a pretty good, decent life.
Simpson's surgery will take place at Washington State University's College of Veterinary Medicine sometime in March. The zoo is currently taking donations to help with Simpson's medical bills. And if you'd like to contribute, you can check out this story on KTVQ.com. Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News here on Q2, a lot of demand, not much supply. An update on the Billings real estate front, what you need to know if you're thinking about buying or selling. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
From Montana